Seven Nation Army couldn't hold me back.
Welcome to the Heat versus the World podcast.
And
now, stand up and make some noise for your host, Joel Jacob.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Heat vs. the World podcast. As always, I'm your host, Joel Jacob, and with me, I got my guy, Kay. And you know what? I know everyone kind of bummed after last night's game because, trust me, I saw it all on the TL before I switched to my second account because I was getting tired of some of y'all. But we're going to talk about this game anyways. In case y'all missed it last night, I'm sorry, y'all. My bird triggered after last night's game too, so he kind of get pissed off. So don't mind him. Yeah, he's still going off after what happened last night. But overall, man, it was a stressful game as y'all continue to hear my bird going off. I ain't gonna lie, man. We was on the second night of a back-to-back. Two of our starters was out in Jimmy and Jovic. And our hopefully sixth man was out too. You know, the guy that averages 20 points per game was out. So things didn't go well for Miami. It also didn't help that Duncan, who had an extraordinary game the day before in Detroit, he was a little cold last night and ended up having to be pulled from the game with back problems, which is also something we will touch on later on in this episode. And I mean, yeah, you know, overall it wasn't an ideal game, but you know, I'm not too pissed off. Like I said, a lot of y'all on the TL was going nuts after this game, but I'm not too worked up. But I want to know from you, Kate, how did you feel after last night's L?
I mean, look, of course, like I always say, you never hate to lose. You always want to see your team win the game, but it was just another step, man. Like, I feel like, yeah, you're looking at the standings, but if you look at the team that's right on the immediate outside of the play-in territory, I think that's the Brooklyn Nets, who won 26 games, which will put them 11 games behind the Miami Heat, I want to say. Now, people are asking, or might be asking at this moment, why does that matter? This team should win. Right. But at the end of the day, all you want to do is get in the show. And yeah, we want this Miami Heat team not to have to play 2 extra games, but it's 2 extra games, man. If they have to play that to get in, then that's just what they had to play to get in. I mean, there's no need in crying over spilled milk. They weren't able to handle their business. That's if they aren't able to sneak into one of those non-play-in seeds, which they still could. But, I mean, the bad thing about it is just that, looking at the fact they might have to play 2 extra games. And in the grand scheme of things, so what? It might give them a chance to get in rhythm. I mean, because when you look at the actual specificities of the game, I like what I saw. I saw Bam continue to exert himself offensively. I mean, just from an aggressive standpoint, taking advantage of his matchup, creating nothing out of something. I mean, creating something out of nothing. What's wrong with me today? Creating something out of nothing. I mean, I saw Patty Mills continuing to try to make things happen for the team. I saw him put himself in position several times to make some good stuff happen, some stuff that you continue to anticipate happening with his minutes on the floor. I saw Thomas Bryant continue to make the most out of his last 3 or 4 game stretch. I mean, I saw DeLon Wright make some crucial plays with this Miami Heat team after getting that time that people have so desperately yearned for him to get. I mean, I saw Caleb Martin continue to look like the dude that we've all recognized him to be across his tenure with the Miami Heat. Listen, there are a lot of things. I mean, I saw Terry Rozier to continue to find his offensive game. Look, there are a lot of things that you could probably point to that went bad. Duncan didn't hit. They didn't win. Yeah, all of that's true, and I 100% agree. But when they're whole and everything is clicking, which the ultimate goal is, which is why Jimmy was probably ultimately held out. And as you mentioned, when that guy, the presuming 6th man, we won't get too much into that, but we got a little something on that later, I'm thinking. When he comes back, that's only going to make this team more formidable as a whole when they're whole. So, I mean, yeah, we lost. The Miami Heat lost the game. But I saw progress individually, which at the end of the day should only help this team be able to, have a chance to accomplish that ultimate goal. Because they still do. I firmly believe that they still do. Maybe I'm nuts.
Right. I mean, I believe it too because first of all, I mean, we've already lost enough games this year. I mean, I know one thing I think everyone is kind of stressed out about is the whole, oh, Miami, they have this losing record against these top teams. Philly isn't even a top 4 team in the East, but still like, a contender, I guess. So everyone's kind of worked up about this and that. And we talked about in the last pod that whole standing thing that the one fan tweeted out about how the Heat are 2-16 against the top 4 teams in the East and West. So, Kay, I just want to know from you real quick because, like I said, everyone's going nuts on TL because it's another loss against a team, another playoff team, in the standings. Like, why should Heat fans feel good right now? I know why, but for those listening, like, why should they feel good even after the fact that they still have this losing record against these playoff teams?
If you look at the Miami Heat in most of these contests, there haven't really been situations where you look at them and say, man, they were dominated. It's going to hurt to lose any game, as I mentioned. But the reason that a lot of these games against these contenders have hurt so bad is because they've been games where the ball bounced either way, or where one false run in a crucial moment where two guys hit shots off of big mistakes caused the game to blow wide open. Again, I could go back to the Denver game from last week where you look at that last Reggie Jackson sequence with about 3 or 4 minutes left. He comes down, hit the 2 middies at the free throw line, and then feints the midi at the 3-point line, step back to the 3, nailed that. The game is over. Like those small periods of play all that separates this Miami Heat team, often not whole. Like we're talking about a ragtag Miami Heat bunch in most circumstances. And everybody deals with injuries. But what I'm saying is this Miami Heat team, these injuries that we're talking about specifically, we're not projecting them to be dealing with those when the playoffs rolling around. And again, when you look at all of these games and how close they've been, a ball bounce here, a rotation here, a coverage here, a non-foul call or a foul call here, an attack there. Mentioning the fact that Terry Rozier has only been there about a half a season, continuing to find his footing, but showing you that ability to create nothing out of something in pinch moments. That's why you should have faith in this Miami Heat team. Because to be quite frank, at any given point, and you have to look back at that February situation where they were 11-3, I want to say in February. Is that what I'm thinking? Is that the 11-3 month? The 11-3 month, I think it was February.
I believe so.
That was only about 75% of their best.
Mm-hmm.
This Miami Heat team, for some reason, unless we're talking about that fluke year after the bubble, where everybody was tired except one team, the team that got put out amongst the earliest of the teams in the previous year, but that's neither here nor there. The Miami Heat play their best ball at this time of the year. So if that 11-3 was only 75%, the things we've seen, those things I mentioned in the first part of my spew here, and then the things I mentioned since you asked me the question, are the things that show you that this Miami Heat team still hasn't put it all together, but those pieces are there. Caleb's playing at a high level. Bam is attacking offensively and aggressively. Jimmy responds every time. He should have had a more aggressive situation in the previous game that could have affected the Miami Heat's chances to win the game. In the next game, he clearly responds every time. I don't know if he reads the timeline, if he looks at the box score, but he's showing you the ability to respond. Duncan Robinson is freaking Duncan Robinson. And every team's not going to be able to scheme for 7 games and do an example what the 76ers were able to do to him on Monday night, which is keep Nicholas Batum, a guy of similar agility, a guy of similar movement ilk-wise, but of course of similar size. Every team's not going to be able to scheme to keep a guy attached to him like that in his neck. So what you should lean on is the fact that you've seen the individual elements that it will take for this Miami Heat team to reach their peak, perform at a peak or peakish a level, even if you haven't seen this Miami Heat team as a whole, while knowing that you've seen them get to the 75% level I mentioned in February, and at the same time tying the bow around that, which is the fact that we all know this Miami Heat team plays their best ball at this time of the year. So again, we've only seen this team at about 75%. Tyler Herro was out most of that 11-3 situation. Keep that in mind. So with that being said as well, you also have to add that guy back into it, a 20-point per game score. And that's not only on the starting unit, but coming off the bench, which he's proved as a six-man of the year winner. I'm just kicking facts. I'm not kicking hyperbole. I'm not gassing you. I'm not optimism trafficking. I'm not blowing smoke. I'm not talking about something that I don't know. Better yet, I'm not talking about something that we all haven't seen. Again, that's why you should have faith. The Parks are performing peakishly. And once they come together, which we know they will, like Voltron, as they always do at this time of the year, especially during the Jimmy Butler tenure, they're going to perform peakishly as a team.
Right.
That's the faith.
And I just want to say real quick, like, I don't want to go too much into the Tyler start coming off the bench things we've talked about for so long. But an encouraging statistic just to put in for this is that the Heat are, I believe, last time I checked, 93-49 when he comes off the bench and 70-66 when he's in the starting lineup. So take that as you will. So let's see. I believe, yeah, because I had to do the math on that because it was only showing me.
And I was just busting your balls, man. They're closer to 75% when he's coming off the bench, and they're about 500 when he's not.
Right. So it's like at this point, you know, I mean, like I said, we're not gonna get too much into it because if y'all have seen the episodes, y'all know where we've stood on this, and we still stand on it to this day.
And you know what? I want to clear something up, Joel. And I say this a lot too, so I don't think the people think this about me, and not that they care what I think about it, but it's that thing where if you don't want Tyler Herro in the starting lineup, then you must hate Tyler Herro. Do you understand what I'm saying? That thing.
I see where you're coming from because it's like it's just putting him in a position where he's still gonna get blamed and stuff, correct?
Well, I don't know if it's more so about putting him in a position because once people have that made, I guess that's a part of it. Because once people have their mind made up that you hate Tyler Herro, then you're always going to be coming from that angle in their minds. But I'm more so speaking conversations purpose. There are certain people that you can have these conversations with, but then there are others where you can't even insinuate that maybe the team is better with him coming off the bench without them giving you some sort of empty rhetoric about his individual performances or thinking that you just hate the man outside of even him being a ball player. And that's simply not true. I'm not even of the trade Tyler Herro outright ilk. Joel is. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm pointing at my screen. Joel is. And that's what I'm saying. No, I'm joking with you, Joe. I'm joking with you, Joe.
Yo, I'm like, you're not here, bro. Like, I don't know if you thought this was this game breakdown, but save it for that. We love you,
but
D,
no,
but
man. There are people that want, Tyler Herro off this team right now. And it might not even be for a good reason. It may just be chemistry. It may be something they think they're seeing. I'm not that guy. I want Tyler Herro to play 28 to 30 minutes a game. I just want him to do it starting off the bench because that's what works for the team. That's what helps the Miami Heat win. And at some point, with what we're seeing, yeah, they're still losing games sometimes.
Yeah.
What we've seen, Tyler Herro's ability to perform as a top player off the bench and the Miami Heat's success, as Joel mentioned, 75% win percentage with him coming off to the bench and a 500 win percentage, which is 50% for you guys out there that didn't understand. A 50% win percentage with him in the starting lineup. All those things say that it's probably best that he come off the bench for the Miami Heat, or at least you give that another shot, considering the fact that once it's all said and done, and I know people don't want to ask this question, but Spo isn't silly. Spo is top 15 for a reason. If we're being real, I don't think it's ever going to be when it matters, because I think Caleb's going to play when it matters. I think Bam's going to play when it matters. I think Jimmy Butler's going to play when it matters. Do we agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if we agree on those three, there are only two more slots, right?
Right.
I think Duncan Robinson has to play when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
I think his gravity, which is a word that people hate, but it's so real. Doris Burke, every other announcer that talks about him locally, nationally, everybody mentions it, even if he's not mentioning it. And I've said it countlessly into ad nauseum over the last 4 or 5 years. Even when he's not making shots, his presence greatly impacts everybody else's ability to freedom to move freely or freely move about the court or get their manipulated spaces that they want, their desired spaces to manipulate because he's transforming, bending, or making defenses malleable. So I think those are the four, right? So what does that leave you? Do you see where I'm going?
Right.
If those are the four, what are the other two guys that leave you?
Because that's either, if you still want Tyler, you either got him, but then it's like Terry Rozier is also an option too.
There you go. So it's for me, for about a month now, I've had that thought. If you must put Tyler in the closing lineup or the starting lineup for that matter, it's not Tyler or Duncan. You're asking Tyler or Terry, in my opinion. I mean, if you want to make the Heat work the best, and I think that Coach Spoelstra is going to do what it takes to make the Heat work the best. Now,
Right.
to tie a bow around this particular segment of Kenneth Speaks, I just gave y'all my government name. Don't y'all use that against me. I think it's going to be Terry Rozier because, again, Tyler Herro has proven he can perform for this Miami Heat team at a high level, and they still perform at a high level with him coming off the bench.
Right. Because overall, man, like this team, I mean, it's going to be interesting because in case y'all missed what Tyler posted on, I don't know, his burner account, whatever you want to call this thing. It was some accounts he got in his bio and stuff. So
explain that. No, we can't just call that a burner account and leave it at that, Joe. Like, so account, like some old school spy movie, Secret Squirrel, if you will. If y'all ain't up on your cartoon, tune into your local Boomerang and find Secret Squirrel. Good cartoons, man. Hanna-Barbera era was golden age of cartoons. This message will self-destruct in 10 seconds. You familiar with that phraseology, especially in cartoons? A burner account is this message will self-destruct in 10 seconds. You don't know where this message came from. I got to get a president hands on this one because it pisses me off. How do you have a burner account linked to your main account?
I don't know.
And with Tyler Herro being the guy we know he is, there's no way that you can miss Tyler Herro. Look, Tyler Herro, if he's going to do one thing, he's going to be seen.
But like, I just look at this because like I didn't even know about his burner, whatever you want to call it.
Yo, it's such a Tyler Herro move. I got a burner account. I'm gonna knowingly make public because I'm Tyler Herro.
Hey, not to cut you off, but like I don't know if you're screaming so loud right now, but there are times where you might be going so loud, like your mic volume just goes low at certain words.
Because my mind is blown right now, Joe. Like I just had an epiphany. Tyler Herro thinks so much of Tyler Herro that he got the audacity to have a burner account that he knowingly reveals that it's Tyler Herro. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So basically, Tyler did a whole photo dump, fashion dump, whatever they call it on Instagram nowadays, and he went and posted this like in between it. So to those who don't watch Dragon Ball, whatever, it's basically Tyler and as Kay mentioned it to me on the phone earlier, because I forgot the terminology for some of these things. The regeneration chamber or whatever. So he's up in there, and I don't know. I guess his foot is starting to feel a lot better.
Who is that? Who is that, Joe? Who is that? In the? Can you miss? Who is that? Oh, it looks like Tyler Herro, of course. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it looked like Tyler. And if y'all want to see what this count is, it's called @Wonder Did It on Instagram. You'll find that in his Instagram bio on his own page. So that's where you can find it. But overall, it looked like we might get that Tyler return soon enough. I don't know when because, and this will be my final comments on this whole bench thing starting whatever. We only got like what? I don't even think it's 15 now. 14 games left before the season ends. Am I right or am I wrong? 14, 15, or let's see how much games have we?
Give or take. Give or take, man. I don't ever keep up with the records. I know what happened in the last and what my team looking like. But you keep talking. I'll get you the information.
All right, because like here's the thing, he's only played 36 games. We've talked about that before, and like he still has to play a whole 5 games left just for him to even hit the halfway point of games played this year. So, it's just at a point where I don't know. Like you might as well just look into the idea of him coming off the bench because you have a guy like Terry who's played 21 games this year, I think, for the Heat. And I mean, that's more than half of the games Tyler has played the whole year. And then you have the fact that Kyle Lowry has been off the Heat for over a month and a half now, and he still played one more game than Tyler, believe it or not. He's played 37 games with the Heat, y'all. I kid you not, bro. Like 37 games Kyle played in Miami this season before he got traded to Charlotte in the Terry Rozier trade. Take that as
The
you
Miami Heat
will.
have 14 games left, by the way.
Okay, so there you go then. Like,
And speaking of
I don't
Kyle
know.
Lowry, I mean, before we get too far away, this fool went for 16, 4-1 against us, against the Miami Heat, of course, on Monday. I say us because I'm a fan, but some people try to be, I don't say us, you don't play for the man. Screw y'all, us.
Yeah,
And 3 for 5 from 3. Do you know the levels of just ugh, every shot? And I like Kyle Lowry. It's just it hurt because it's like you knew he meant it. Bleep me
yeah.
out. Put a sweat banner down there. You knew he meant it. And then at the end of the game, he yucking it up with Nick Batum on the sideline. Oh my!
Bro, it was pissing me off, man. Here's the thing, bro. Like, I feel like I should have seen it coming because like I don't know if I mentioned it on
We
the
knew it
last.
was gonna happen. We knew it. We
Yeah,
knew it. But
like
it's
it
still
was
it. That don't make it hurt no less, though, Joe.
right because it was like I was thinking about that other game against Philly. It was the Jimmy's first season in Miami. We got blown out that game. I think it was the first time we played him all year. We got blown out, and it was because Jay Rich just went off that game for them, bro. He had like 32 points, I think. It's funny because he was like coming off of an injury too. They just found out after missing a couple games that he was gonna come back and play this one. So I didn't even think he was gonna go off. But this dude just came in and he just went crazy, bro. And it got so wild that you got these Sixers fans coming in here talking about, oh well, Miami, I mean, looks like we won this trade with Jimmy because like we got Jay Rich on our squad. And, I love Jay Rich. Shout out to him. I hope he feels better. But since then, the dude has been flipped like 50 different teams since coming
He's
back.
on our team, Joe. He's on our team. Chill.
I know, but I'm sorry, Jay Rich. We love you, bro, but blame Philly fans for that one comment. All right, I'm sorry. Like they kind of did that to me. So not only that, but Jay Rich was low key
Shout
talking
out
a
to
little.
Jay Rich, man. Come back to Miami next season. Shout out to Jay Rich. Come back to
Yeah.
Miami next season. Shout out to Jay Rich.
Anyways, sorry, Jay Rich, man. But overall, bro, this type of stuff happens, and for some reason, it happens with the players that go to Philly. So it was only a matter of time. But then they stink after that. So I mean, I'm sorry, Jay Rich, again,
No,
but
I mean, it's okay. I'm trying to get away from you slandering Jay Rich because, again, Jay Rich, come out of Miami. We love you, Jay Rich. Come out of Miami. But did you notice how much? I mean, and we don't want to stick on the Philly game too much, but did you notice how much Tyrese Maxey was flopping? His floppage was high, or was that just me?
man, it was driving me nuts. I was just more pissed at the missed calls for the Heat because you had Kyle hitting Caleb on the wrist, which they didn't call. Then there was
Right?
I think it was Nick Batum like getting Terry Rozier in the face.
Yeah, yeah.
They're like, oh my gosh, what a block, bro. Do y'all not have eyes, bro? Do y'all need glasses? I didn't watch the ESPN broadcast, but I know Doris Burke with those huge bifocals of her can look and see that this dude clearly got hit in the face. So I don't know if she even recognized that because I wasn't watching the ESPN broadcast. But hopefully someone with some good working glasses was able to see that, bro. Because I'm still working with no glasses or nothing. And I was able to see it with my own eyes that this dude got hit across the face. But now, apparently he was flopping maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's what they thought, watching this guy get hit in the face and go to the ground like that. But you have that and what we mentioned with Caleb and all that other stuff. But yeah, it seemed like the Sixers was getting whatever they wanted. But overall, man,
Caleb got fouled about 12 times before he finally drew a whistle, and they continued to bludgeon him all night. But you're not gonna blame it on that because as we talked about off air and just pre-prep meetings or whatever, it's like the NBA's physicality and defensive initiative is clearly rearing its head, and I don't hate it. And it's presented itself on both sides because you can look at moments specifically in that Philly game where Duncan Robinson will be guarding Tyrese Maxey running off a pick, whether because they were hunting Duncan at points in the game where he would end up with the switch and he would grab Maxey and Maxey
yep.
would be flailing and trying to get away from him, but that's physical basketball, not necessarily old school, just taking back to maybe like 2000, 2005-ish. But then on the other end, Nick Batum would do the same thing to Duncan. And then, there's all the physicality at the rim. There were several layup attempts with Caleb Martin specifically, where he attacked the cup in a very Caleb Martin-esque fashion. And what would have been a foul a month ago, certainly, they weren't calling it. Now, I saw a lot of things on both sides that, can be questioned. There were a lot of, what's the word? There were more right up against the line calls in the other direction, so I will concede there. But I will say that physicality or defensive initiative, whatever you want to call it or however you want to phrase it, that the NBA, is clearly leaning towards, is showing itself. And I don't necessarily mind it. I feel like the Heat, if any team will make the adjustments to use it to their advantage and continue to have success through it or with it or because of it, whatever, I think that's the Miami Heat. So I actually think it works towards our advantage as we get towards the playoffs.
Right. So overall, man, it is what it is, bro. Like, just take us to April already, man. Like, let's get our squad fully healthy and let's go from there. And you know what? We talked a lot about this L against Philly, and even then, we still see the silver lining in this stuff. So, Heat fans, please take a deep breath and to kind of get away from the loss for a quick second. We do gotta talk about something that happened the game before. And that was none other than Duncan Robinson hitting 1,000 threes. He hit that and then just went crazy after that. Probably hit 100 more, and it's probably the first one to get 1,100 threes, or the fastest person to hit that mark. Because the dude went nuts in that Pistons game. We ain't going to talk too much about it, though, since that's the past, and, we got to keep moving forward. But,
Gotta
bro,
keep.
yeah, like, this dude, man, I'm so happy for him, bro, because we was talking about it in the group chat the other day. Like, everything this dude had to go through, all the criticism and everything, like the slander he had to receive. I mean, it's crazy because if y'all don't follow our TikTok page, one of our most liked tweets actually ended up slandering Duncan Robinson, unfortunately. So I feel bad looking back at that, and like it's still unpinned. I think I might have to unpin it one of these days, just not make it look awkward. Unless he plays better with that on. I don't know. I might have to experiment with it come playoff time. But overall, I'm happy for him, man. He really went out there and he evolved his game, because one thing that I talked about in the pod a couple months back was there's a difference between like a specialist and someone that just completely like evolves their game, because there's so much these, and I quote, specialists who got their bags but they disappeared because their games was figured out and they was never able to make that evolution. You look at guys like Joe Harris, where is he? We don't know. You look at guys like Davis Bertans, where is he at right now? We don't know. All of these guys, they was known for being great 3-point shooters.
Actually, it's funny. The answer to Davis Bertans is actually pretty funny, and it's going to be to your point. But he just cracked the rotation in Charlotte. Continue.
Wow. Just cracked the rotation. That right there, Charlotte and just cracked the rotation. Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets. Is that the team, K? I just want to confirm. The Charlotte Hornets, you struggling to make the rotation for the Charlotte Hornets. Much love to them for giving us Terry. But the Charlotte Hornets, bro. So you got Davis Bertans, Joe Harris, and all these other guys. They got their bags, but now we don't know where they at right now. They completely off the deep end. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Jimmy Butler, bro. I mean, who the hell are we talking about? Duncan Robinson, man. I'm sorry, bro. Jimmy, I just need you to come back, bro. Because
They got you in a tizzy, man, because I told you where the man was, and you still proceeded to say, we don't know where he is.
Yes, you know how like in wrestling they say some people from like the parts unknown or stuff like that. that's where he is right now. Because until Charlotte gets the acts together, that team is in parts unknown. Forget North Carolina, bro. Like, and I ain't say North Carolina catching a stray from me, but specifically that team and everything in that arena, that's parts unknown right there. So it just so happens that parts unknown happens to be located in North Carolina. Shout out to all our Heat fans who from that area, by the way. But overall, bro, look at those guys and then look at Duncan Robinson. The dude evolved his game. Just when it seemed like he was about to go on the same direction some of these other guys was aiming towards, he completely changed his game. And that's what we've seen this, not only this past season, but we were really starting to see it, in that playoff run, especially in game 2 against Denver, with him mean mugging the crowd and everything. It was such a great thing to see. And I'm
So what you're
happy.
saying is Doug McDermott ain't no Duncan Robinson.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't watching no Doug McDermott
So
tape.
what you're saying is Kevin. So what you're saying is Kevin Huerter ain't no Duncan Robinson.
Say that again?
You saying Kevin Huerter out in Sacramento ain't no Duncan Robinson.
Hell no.
That's what you said. Whoa.
No.
I feel you. I feel you. I can't think of the boy in Memphis, but I used to mess with my Detroit people all the time.
Oh, Luke Kennard or
Yeah, so you saying Luke Kennard ain't no Duncan Robinson.
I don't know. I ain't heard much about him since he got traded from the Clippers. So I mean, I don't know. Has he
Okay.
been here or?
I'm just trying to think, like, where are we placing Duncan Robinson? Like, what do you call Duncan Robinson at this point? It's like, because people are just going to look at the scoring aspect. And yeah, he's making, I mean, for Christ's sakes, tons more 2-pointers than he ever has at any point in his career. But it's not just that. The boy's ability to create plays for his teammates has expanded just past the symbiotic telepathic connection that him and Bam has. It's almost like he dropping dimes and pocket passes to everybody on the team. To be quite frank with you, if the boy didn't have to run 62 miles to get open looks because he's just that good of a 3-point shooter movement wise, he could probably do a lot of initiating for the Miami Heat's offense because he's so multiple.
Yup. Like that's
That
just how,
just speaks to the expansion of his game that you're talking about. The handle, I mean, defensively, speak to us the defense, man. Yes, he's still getting targeted. They're still probing for him, but
they
at the
done it,
same
bro.
time, he's holding his own. Like last night, he drew a foul in the first quarter against I can't think of who the drive was against. And future in past instances, you're like, oh, the Duncan roller coaster about to start. He'll have 4 by halftime. But
Yup.
he maintained, and of course, he went out with the back, but the fouls weren't an issue. So just in all of those areas, he's definitely growing and expanding his game in a positive manner, man. And, like we talked about earlier this season, they better go ahead and extend him early.
Exactly. Cause I'm telling you, like that price is just gonna keep going up, man. Like it's
And
insane,
he
bro.
keep getting all this love. And though unfairly enough, he's not gonna win it. I mean, and there are other valuable candidates, but I just think you have to look at where they were and where they are, not only position wise, team wise, but literally look at the game. Like I give you a good example. Tyrese Maxey, he could get it.
Mm-hmm.
And he might get it because, sometimes when these auxiliary awards like 6-man, um I love it when this happens. 6-man, defensive player of the year. If you're also a star in the league that's in that category or star-ish of the league that's in that category, you have a leg up. When you look at Tyler Herro and his 6-man of the year campaign, he wasn't a flat out star from what we traditionally look at as basketball, but he was a star of the league. The league was definitely marketing him, and he has that star-ish stuff. He scored points, he get buckets. So you look at Tyrese Maxey and what he's been able to do to propel his, I guess, personal brand as a basketball player and as an influencer out here, for lack of better terms, amongst the culture, not just the internet using that term, but amongst the culture. He has that starish thing about him that's going to lean more into him being able to sexually get a award like that. You look at Triple J, and not Triple J. Jaime Hawkins Jr. is the real Triple J. I don't know why I said Triple J. It's just what I said. But you look at the boy in Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr. He was everywhere. It's like that year he was hurt. He was all over the place. Like he was already a 5-time All-Star. Like, and I'm not hating. I'm just saying when you're marketed like a star, you're going to have more inclination or more, I guess, more juice behind your name when the voters go in to vote. And maybe because we're talking about humans that are also privy to all of this marketing, or this narrative being pushed in their face one way or another outside of what's actually happening on the court, then that probably has something to do with it. You even look at the Stifle Tower, as they call them. Look, that's it in itself, giving them a nickname,
Yep.
represent Frank. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Donovan Mitchell had a whole lot to do with that, with his electricity. So those guys that are just already priming themselves to be marketed as stars of the league, they have a leg up on these awards. But we knew Tyrese Maxey was probably gonna be this, right?
Yep.
With enough shots, with full reign of offense, with trust. And I mean, lo and behold, with Joel Embiid going out, which only increases the responsibility and the usage you have in the offense, anybody could have predicted this from Tyrese Maxey based on what we've seen the last couple of years. Am I tripping?
Exactly. Like, and not only
But
that,
hold on,
I
I'm gonna let you get that out, but I want to tie board on this. But what you're seeing from Duncan Robinson, nobody but me could have expected it.
right. And I just want to say, like, I stopped caring about MIP awards because the thing is, I feel like they just be giving that award to, like you mentioned, to a lot of these stars, bro. And it's like, I always anticipate these guys to take off Tyrese Maxey, and that also goes for guys like what was his name? Like what was it 2022? I think they gave the award to John Morant, bro. Like John Morant is a star, bro. Like it's not a knock to him, but John Morant is the most improved.
So you saying Scoot Henderson 2025 MIP incoming?
It might just at this point. I don't know. And like you got him 2020, they gave the award to what's his name? Brandon Ingram. I was pissed because I was pulling for Bam that year. And like I'll say this, like, because they was both all-stars that season, of course. But I was irked about that because Ingram was the second pick in the draft, bro. I think he was the second pick in the draft. Bam was the guy people thought should have been selected a lot later, bro. In other words, people didn't even think he was a lottery pick. But bro still went in, managed to become an all-star. Remember, Ingram came to the league in 2016. Bam came to the league a year later in 2017. So although they both made the All-Star game the same season, Bam made it technically a year earlier, only being in the league for 3 seasons, while Ingram had already been in the NBA for 4. So in my opinion, like that right there tells me that he, in my opinion, should have gotten the most improved award. But I don't care. That's 2020, bro. This 2020.
Yo, you made a good point though, and not to cut you off. I'm looking at the list, yo. You make a great point. I mean, I said that people went on their stars potential specifically for awards, but looking at this MIP, I guess you have to go. You have to cross over that cusp being a regular, like being a household name all-star. Because if you look at the last look, man, I'm gonna go across the list, and we're gonna get a lot of love here, but it is what it is. Laurie Markkinen last year, John Morant in the previous year, as you mentioned, Julius Randle the year before that, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam, Victor Oladipo before that, Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2016-17, CJ McCollum in 15-16, Jimmy Butler in 14-15, Goran Dragic in 13-14, Paul George in 2012-13. Now, Ryan Anderson had his moments where he was like at a level, not quite a star, but he was definitely one of those guys giving you 20 and 10 double doubles, killing it from 3. Kevin Love was on the verge of a star, but I would say since Aaron Brooks in 2009, 2010, have we seen a pure, MIP award recipient. And not that those other guys weren't worthy, but it's like, for me, you could have seen those other guys doing what they did with proper opportunity and usage. Like,
Exactly.
MIP should be for a guy where you didn't expect it. Personal opinion.
Right. Because, like, some names in there, Julius Randle, I think, was a good option because I never thought the Knicks would take off as much as they did that year. Like,
But see, but then that's you giving him credit for the Knicks. Now, is that him or is that Tibbs for getting that team right, but also reining this dude in? Like, look, you doing this or this. Don't be doing this, and this. Because that was
right.
Julius Randle problem. Until he found that little pocket with New York, his problem was that he could do so much that he got on the court and tried to do it all every possession.
Right.
Now he's shooting that little three. He might hit you with a little midi action as a counter, but he's shooting that little three. Or if he ain't already in the paint area, he's trying to get there to get something at the cup.
Right.
Like it's this or that. It ain't, everything all at once. Shout out to that movie.
So, like, but yeah, overall, man, like, when you look at those names, bro, it's like, even then, like, we had to talk about that with Julius Randle. Like, at this point, it just goes to show how kind of pointless the MIP award really is. Because at the end of the day, it just seems like they're going to give it to a star that probably isn't going to get some sort of major accolade anyways, So watch some guy end up having an incredible season. I'm talking about all-star, maybe win most improved player. And, like, well, who's even the front runner this year? It's
I'm not sure if the balloting has been casted, but it's probably Maxey. That's why I mentioned him.
Yeah, so him, and then next year it's gonna be some other guy that's an all-star and maybe all NBA.
Scoot Henderson's gonna get it next year.
Probably, yeah, because like he's gonna
And Joe
have.
Cronin's gonna get executive of the year, and DeAndre Ayton's gonna win defensive player of the year, and Delano Blanton's gonna be a first team All NBA. He's been balling the last 2 or 3 games for them, by the way. And Chauncey Billups gonna be coach of the year, and Jeremy Grant. I just world
I was
like,
told
bro.
him for like 3 first-round picks, so I don't think he'll be on the team by then. But that's what I've been.
I'm sorry. Excuse me. Say what?
I think, well, what I've been told is that they're gonna get a huge haul once they end up trading him. So they probably might have 2, 3 first-round picks by the time they trade him, and
They're gonna get
draft.
a first round. They're gonna get 3 first round picks for Jeremy Grant.
I don't know what the exact number they think they're gonna get, but like they think they're gonna get a big haul for him. But you ain't heard it from me though. But I don't know, bro. It's Blazers fans, bro. They was doing victory laps just because we didn't
Look,
get.
man, not to cross sports, but that's giving me real Justin Fields ended up getting traded for a 6-round pick vibes. For real. Like they was, you know what I'm saying? Like they thought they was gonna get like a you know what I'm saying? Like a major return package for him. I almost said something crazy, but they thought they was gonna get like a major return package and a deal for Justin Fields, and they end up only getting a 6-round pick. Conditionally a 4th if he plays 51% of the snaps. However, I'm just saying, like, you gonna get 3 firsts for Jeremy Grant after you done held him hostage, after your team has been poo, after you dealt with the rest of the league in the way in which you dealt with them, after you treated Damian Lillard the way that you think you did, and after DeAndre Ayton said that his back was messed up because he was sleeping on an air mattress and he makes $35 million a year. But you're gonna get 3.
Okay, I mean, they got what?
You know what? He couldn't go get a bed because there was so much ice on his street that he couldn't get the bed to his front door. Right. Or nobody could deliver it because there was so much ice.
Yeah, mattress store was probably too far. The ice was probably covering the door or something. You know what I'm saying? And like frostbite, I never got frostbite before because I live here in Florida my whole life. But I heard it's tough. So I don't know. Portland might be Antarctica for all we know, bro. I ain't never been.
Exactly.
They might got tundras and all that other stuff, some igloos in that area. So
Yes, we're hating. Yes, we're hating.
Yeah,
we're hating. Yes.
So overall, man,
Joe Cronin's still a hoe.
Yeah, listen, we winning the championship, bro. He's still winning the 2024 championship. I don't care. We got the faith in this team. And you know what? Last year, I wasn't too confident in this squad. And I think that's why we didn't get the job done. So I'm still all in for this team because I'm not going to let the lack of faith I had last year let Jokic get another ring. All right, that's why he overpowered us last year because I didn't supply enough. But this year, I'm gonna make sure we have enough to work with. So overall, we gonna win this championship. But before we even get to April, we still got this upcoming game coming up, and we gonna talk about this and then wrap the show up. And that's none other than this game against Cleveland. We do have a handful of guys that will be out for this game. Kevin Love, Tyler Herro, Duncan Robinson is going to be out. He's back in Miami to meet with a specialist, so there's that to keep in mind. I believe is Jovic playing? I don't know. I know Jimmy is questionable, by the way. For those curious about that, Jovic, on the other hand, I'm not completely sure about.
I haven't heard anything about Jovic, and I did take a look at the injury report earlier today. Let me go ahead and specifically look at that.
I be looking at on Twitter and stuff. I just wait for the Heat to tweet and just go from.
I checked the report wires. He's iffy. Jovic is questionable for Wednesday's game versus the Cavaliers, according to Ira Winderman of the South Florida Sun Sentinel.
All right. So I'll say this, man.
That's not ideal.
Yeah. So, like, I'll say this. Donovan Mitchell is out for this game. If Jimmy and folks is back, I mean, go win it. You got Jimmy. You got Bam. Just go out there, handle business. You know, I know this road trip hasn't been the most ideal for the Heat. I mean, I'll say this. We got our 2 wins against Detroit. I would have loved to see the Heat get a win against Philly, but, you know, we were a little shorthanded for that. It is what it is. Go out there and handle business, okay? I don't want to see nothing about no trap game, none of that. Stomp on their throats, get the win, and let's go back to Miami, and let's take it easy from there. What about you, Kay?
I mean, I agree with you. That's what I would like them to do. What do you think they're going to do, Joe?
Probably a close game. It's probably going to be, you know, a Max Strus little revenge game or whatever, since that's been the theme lately with Kyle.
Is he playing? Because I know Max Strus has been out. I think Max Strus has been out for the last couple of games. Hold on. Let me check on his status as well. Well, I know he has missed time in the last couple of games.
Oh my gosh.
Strus has been ruled out for Wednesday's game against the Heat.
Okay, because I was about to say, if he missed this
will be his ninth straight game miss. It continues to grow, of course. Donovan Mitchell with his nose, Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, Jordan Niang, Sarah Merrill. Okay, so they're all going to be in, just giving a report. But yeah, Strus isn't playing either, so at least we can get that out of our way.
I was scared because it's like this, just like the J-Rich situation in Philly. He missed the first couple games, and came back. Like, I wasn't going to be able to handle a Strus 32-point game against the Heat. So,
and before we remind me to mention another former player, just as a little potpourri. But I mean, I agree with you. I think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a pretty good Heat game. I think they win this one by 10 or more. I won't say blowout, but I think they win this one going away, 9-10 points. Because I think the Miami Heat need to see themselves start to get back on the right direction. I actually think Jimmy plays, because then we think he was going to play yesterday for a while. So I think Jimmy is going to play this one. And again, he tends to respond when he needs to respond from all perspectives. And if his team needs to win, he tends to help them. You know, he tends to want to be on the floor to help them get that. Now, looking a little deeper, as you mentioned earlier, we got 14 games left in the season. I'm going to ask you this. So you got Cleveland, the Pelicans, Cleveland, Golden State, Portland, Washington, New York, Philly, Houston, Indiana, Atlanta, Dallas, and Toronto twice. Let's go through it real quick. I just want to see something. Okay, so we both got Cleveland as a W, right?
Yeah.
Okay, New Orleans.
W, especially because I don't know how Jimmy gonna look at that game, but like I would be surprised. I feel like he gonna take it kind of like how he marked his calendars for that game after the whole TJ Warren situation. So I'm kind of excited about that game, seeing if he gonna have that type of same energy this time around. I know he didn't hype it up the way how he did that game, because I remember he posted on Instagram saying, "Oh, TJ Warren, get ready, because come this day, you know, it's on." But I feel like he's going to have some type of energy since he didn't even get to finish that game against New Orleans.
Absolutely. I think the same thing. Cleveland Cavaliers again on Sunday, March 24th.
So you see that I don't know, because it's like, I'll say this, because we don't know.
Yeah, Sunday games are a bit weird. Donovan Mitchell may be back. Go ahead.
Let's see. The Pelicans game, by the way, might be a little hard because one thing I noticed is that, and people have acknowledged this in the past, some teams they tend to struggle a bit that first game after a road trip. So keep in mind that might be a bit of a close game. Hopefully the Heat can get the win there. But going back to that Cleveland game, it's kind of tough because it's like they're gonna be there. I mean, they would have already played against each other just a couple games prior. So assuming the Heat get the W, I think Cleveland going to run in with a lot of momentum going into that next game. I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
So, I don't know, man.
It's cool. You can call it an L. Let's be a little briefer on our explanations as well, because I'm trying to get through the whole thing to make a point.
Okay.
So if we disagree, you keep up with yours, and I'm gonna keep up with mine. So we both at 2-1 right now. Then they have the Golden State Warriors.
Where is that? Wait, we've already played them on the road. So
that's in Miami.
Yeah. So how's the Warriors been? Because I know they've had some games where they've been heated.
Right. They've been trending upwards, but we play the Warriors well because their issues are our issues. They play small, and we want to play small and with a lot of movement, but we do it better than them this year. So I think that's a W.
I'm gonna say so too. 3-1.
So we sitting at 3-1. Then we got the Portland Trailblazers coming in.
4-1. Move on.
4-1. Then we go to Washington.
Avenge what happened the other night and go from there.
5-1. We 5-1, right? So then we got the New York Knicks on Tuesday, April the 2nd at 7:30. Let's just be fair and call that an L, right?
Yeah, because they've been. I know there's been Anunoby because I heard they said like those
injuries will flare back up though.
Yeah, they've been talking about it like so, but yeah, we'll call an L for now.
I was gonna say we could. That's a game to watch. It's not a definite L. Let's put that out there. Yeah. Let's say for conversation purposes, just being fair, so we don't seem too optimistic.
Because it's like an expectation. So if they exceed that,
right. But also, again, conversation purpose. So we had 5-2 after that. Then we got Philly again on April 4th, a revenge game. I think Jimmy will be back in the lineup. Joel may be back in the lineup, which I don't think is actually that good for them. But who cares? I feel like we're going to beat them. It's in Miami. What you think?
6-2, I mean, like the record.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So then we at Houston.
7-2.
Then we're at Indiana.
Ooh, I'm going to say 7-3, to be fair.
Okay, fair enough. I was going to say the same thing. Then we're at Atlanta.
8-3.
8-3. The following night.
Oh, okay.
So that's a Tuesday. The following night, Dallas comes to Miami.
Why are we playing them on back-to-backs, bro? Adam Silver gonna have to catch these hands one of these days, bro, because this is pissing me off. I'm gonna call that 8-4. I'm gonna say we're gonna go 8-4.
Let's be fair, 8-4, and then we welcome Toronto into Miami to close the season twice. Once on Friday at 8 p.m. and then again that following Sunday at 1 p.m. At that point, Toronto will be playing guys that don't even matter. I think we win both of those games and finish 10-4.
Okay, that's a good point you mentioned because I was about to say 9-5, where we win one and lose one, because Toronto loves to play rough against the
Absolutely.
Heat. Like, so that's why I was thinking that. But you also mentioned a good point with the condition of that. Well, let me ask you this: are they in a play-in situation? What's their scenario?
I don't think that they're in the play-in scenario right now. Let me check the NBA standings real quick. I ain't good with these numbers.
Because are they trying to fight for a spot too? Like, that's another thing to keep an eye on.
They're 12th right now, bro. They're behind they're 23-45. They can't do it.
Okay,
they can't do it. They won't be playing for anything.
Okay, so then give us those 2 wins. That's what, 10-4.
10-4.
Yeah.
So at this particular juncture, sitting 37-31. We're thinking, being generous on a couple of games, that the Miami Heat should go 10-4 in these last 14 games.
Yup, and that would put him at, I think, what?
That would put him at 47 games up, 35 games down.
I mean, well, was that our record last year? I think it was kind of close to that. I think it was like
44-38.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, all that matters is that if we can get that 6 seed, bro, because that's such a beautiful spot in the standings, in my opinion.
It is. It is. And I feel like again, with what we just went through, that's entirely plausible. Just even more reason. But I saved it for the end because that's a longer exercise. But you also want to build up to that point before you
Right.
make as much sense as we did. Because what I want people to realize is looking at the schedule, we're not tripping. We're not being overly optimistic. Like all those games and for those reasons that we said they should win, especially as they look to congeal and become their best selves, as we said they were at other parts in the episode, getting Tyler Herro back, getting Jimmy Butler back in the lineup, hopefully getting Kevin Love back in the lineup, seeing Caleb Martin reach that level that we've seen him reach at the most important times in the past few seasons, seeing Duncan Robinson get back to being that nuclear self and watching his game and his symbiosis with the rest of his team continue to grow. Seeing Bam continue to exert himself on the offensive end and take advantage of his matchups. And once the defense lose themselves, which they did at one point early in this Philly 76ers game, the defense got so confused on the switch and Bam saw that, quickly took the mismatch baseline, had them both confused, muscle, big boy, easy layup. As long as Bam doing stuff like that, knocking down the three ball, when you see Thomas Bryant, DeLon Wright, Patty Mills making contributions, when you see Haywood coming in, knocking down threes, when you see Jaime finding his offense again, the pieces are coming together at the right time, people.
Right.
They're coming together at the right time. And we know what this Miami Heat team do when it matters the most. We know what they do. So with that schedule and the way we described it, even being generous with a couple of games, that Knicks game and that Pacers game, which the Miami Heat could both win. They maybe they could lose 2 or 3 that we said they would win, but that still put them squarely around that 10-4 area, which the potential to go 11-3 or 12-2 across their last 14 games. Look, this Miami Heat team got 45 plus games in them. They
Okay.
do, yo. It look crazy right now, but I'm telling you, like we watched them go 11-3 in that February area, and with them trending in the direction that they're trending now, from what I see personally from an individual perspective, and how we know it's going to come together like Voltron, how we know that's going to happen because we have no other reason to believe that that's not going to happen.
Right.
We're headed towards that again. So it's a very likely possibility, man. I like where this Miami team is headed. I don't see anything to make me doubt it. Now we
Right.
don't want to be in the play in, but if it's 2 extra games, so be it. They earn that, and it'll just be a chance for them to get in their rhythm.
Exactly. Because we saw it went last year. I mean, I was stressed after that first playing loss against the Hawks, but we saw how they turned it on after that. They stepped on
I
the
bet
gas.
you was stressed about halfway through the Bulls game too, though, right?
I ain't gonna lie, like I was kind of dead in my soul after that loss to Atlanta. It was like because I was under the mentality where like I was one of these people that was wanting us to lose for a play for draft pick. I was just simply depressed because I just wanted to
You
see.
wanted us to lose for the 15th pick.
I never
All right, y'all have a good night. This has been the Biscayne Breakdown. Thank you for into this time. I'm out.
like I was just kind of dead in mind because it's like I was one of them folks, but like I was under the mentality where it's like kind of like a pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like from the way how the team looked in that Atlanta game, I thought we had saw their true colors at that moment right there. Because I thought we was gonna turn the switch on against them and we was gonna be good to go. So like when they lost that, I was like, oh shoot. So it's like maybe this team don't have it in them this year. Maybe the squad ain't built right. Like because maybe Jimmy gonna bowl out, but like the rest of the squad, like I didn't know if they was gonna have it in them to like either A beat Toronto, who I thought we was gonna play. I didn't think Chicago was gonna beat them. So like that's the team that always gave us hell. And then even if you beat them, you gotta go against a team like what's it called? Milwaukee, man. And it was like I didn't know what to think. So I felt like we was kind of in our pick our poison situation from that point on. Like would you rather lose and not make it to the playoffs at all, or would you rather just simply lose in the first round? And I hated that that was my thought looking back at it. I'm so happy that I was wrong, but like
And
after
you should
that,
be ashamed of yourself.
man, I listen, man. I feel so bad. That's why I feel like we lost, bro. Like if I didn't feel that
I
way,
know you read the Bible. You lucky this ain't biblical times.
like this is why I gotta stay positive because like I don't want the Heat to run out of gas because that was only so much hope I had left in them. So like So now we gonna have enough hope to work with throughout the rest of this playoff run. But overall, like, because I really thought we was just flipping that switch the second that first playing game hit. So that loss and the way how we lost had me thinking like this just what this team is, and we might have to move on at that point and just call it an L. But they proved me wrong, and there are a lot of people out there talking crazy still. So hopefully they prove them wrong this year. So it's gonna be a fun season to say the least, and let's just go from there. Is there any final words from you, kid? All right. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to today's episode of Heat versus the World. We're already 60 minutes in this thing. That's crazy. Make sure to follow K on Twitter at K_said_K. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at JoelKJacob_. Make sure to follow Heat vs. the World on all platforms at HVTW Podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. More content heading our way. Deem and K should be back for another episode of Biscayne Breakdown very soon, so be on the lookout for that. We got so much great content heading our way, and hopefully it keeps going once the Heat get further and further and make that championship run. So be on the lookout for more content as we get closer to that. And aside from that, man, like we said before, take a deep breath, relax, and let's just enjoy this Miami Heat run right now. Aside from that, nothing more to say. Thank y'all much for tuning in, and hit my music because we out.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time with a brand new episode of the Heat versus the World Podcast.